Hi there, this is a video for users of the Payroll and Excel applications that I have built. If you've watched any of the videos, there are always a lot of questions about how to tailor these files to your specific business and city and state and everything. So let's talk about Michigan, Flint, Michigan, and really specifically the city that we're talking about because they have their own city tax, which is calculated a little bit differently, and there's some additional things. So let's talk about all the different things you can do with this file, and hopefully under 5 minutes. When you're entering in employee information, there's names, there's social security numbers, there's old W-4 allowance if you're using an old W-4 from prior to 2020, or you're using the 2020 W-4. Are they married or not? State allowance. So that's for your Michigan state allowance. Right? And then there's an additional City of Flint allowances. If you fill out the Flint version of the W-4, how many City of Flint allowances would go here? Your City of Flint flat tax rate is 1% on on the calculated taxable gross wages. You'd put your city code of Flint here. And then there's some other things which I've talked about in previous videos, which I'll reference you to go back and look about how to fill out these additional W-4 information lines there. But that's how you'd enter in the Flint information. Your unemployment percentage would go down here. Whatever unemployment percentage was sent to you by the state, you would put the percentage there, and it's going to then calculate and roll forward. Data entry, I've talked about in previous videos. It's pretty straightforward when you enter in hours or projects. You can go back to another video to watch about that. But what I do want to talk about here is in the pay periods record sheet. If you need to alter things, talk about really two sheets that are connected. There's a matrix sheet and a pay period record sheet. And a lot of times people want to change the duration of the pay period or change the pay period frequency. The file can do that. However, when you run a business, you generally want to have a finite number of days after every pay period that you issue the paycheck so that there's a regular schedule and your quarterly reports and monthly reports all tie out and are accurate. You don't want to be changing how many days after your pay period ends that you run your paychecks. So this cell right there where that 3 is, that tells you how many days after the pay period ending the paycheck is going to be generated. There's 52 pay periods in the year. This is a weekly version. You can end up changing those numbers to fit the proper pay period. If you pay every 2 weeks or pay semi-monthly, you're going to change that number in the pay periods record sheet to 24 or 26 if you're doing bi-weekly. And then you're going to change the dates. And I'm not going to get into how complicated this is because it is a bit more complicated if you're changing payroll cycles and what days you run your pay periods. I'll do another video on that, but this is where you do it, is in the matrix sheet. So when you have questions, this is where those questions are going to be addressed. Now, as for the pay period record sheet, what if you want to, instead of withhold at the weekly rate, you want to withhold like at a monthly rate? Like maybe you only issue a check once a month to this person. Well, all these columns are unhidden or they're unlocked essentially, and you can unhide them and look at all the formulas. And really what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go all the way over to this part about federal withholding, which is like column CJ, CK, CL, all this stuff. Right all the way at the right here, you're going to get this tax withheld, and you're going to get a provisional tax withheld. And in this huge formula for provisional tax withheld, there's a part at the end. Let's see here. Old W-4 amount, current federal tax withheld C4 is 0. Old married, there it is actually. Old, and all these. At the end of all these formulas, there's this divided by pay periods thing. You can see at the end of the formula. See in all of the formula bars, you see this divided by pay periods. Well, that pay periods number, that's what's called a named range. And that named range is this one cell, which is how many pay periods do you have in the year? It's the 52. So you need to end up changing this pay periods to the proper pay periods. It would be 12, for example. If instead of divided by underscore pay periods, you need to put it divided underscore or divided by 12, the number 12 instead, in all of these columns that are going to apply, which means all of the records related to the employee that you want to pay monthly. I know that sounded a little complicated.